Hey guys, it's Savitech here. Time for a bit of a review and an update on the Deskpi Rack Mate T1 that I received. Obviously I did the unboxing and first impressions of this 10-inch rack, and then I kind of left it there. To be honest, I've just been a bit manic with work and other little side projects, and actually just using the product. And so far, I've got to say, it's just been sat here quite happily in the corner of my office using all of my Unify kit. I've made a couple of adapters, 3D printed adapters for various different bits of kit, just to kind of customize it and tailor it to my specific use. So a lot of people have been asking for an update of how things are going, is it holding up, etc. So it's about time that we addressed that to see where we're at. So without further ado, I'll just move Tux over here out of the way. I won't unplug anything because it is a live system. It's still currently running my whole systems, my home lab and my TV network, etc. So can't pull it out too far, but let's have a quick look and just get up to speed with what we've done with this so far. We'll just adjust the camera down a bit, I think. Let's try and bring you in so you can see a bit better here. There we go. Okay, so what have we been doing with the Rack Mate? So as I discussed in the last video, one of the first things that I wanted to do was mount up my Unify networking kit. So the Unify Express is set up here in the top, 3D printed bracket. I actually printed this in PLA. So far it's held up pretty well. There is a slight bit of sag on the rear, which I can show you in a moment. That's fine, that's perfectly acceptable. That's totally my decision to use PLA as printing material. Due to the temperatures that wireless networking kit and networking kit in general can run at, I'd probably suggest PETG or ABS, etc. I've just got a fresh spool of ABS in, so I'll be reprinting some of these brackets out. But as a proof of concept, worked perfectly. So that's set up at the top here. We've got a 3D printed bracket which hosts my Coral TPU, which is a USB tensor processing unit, which I use in conjunction with Frigate for my NVR, which captures my IP cameras and then can use for motion detection, AI detection, etc. So that sits in the second slot. The next slot down, we've got a 8-port PoE gigabit switch, again Unify. This has been sitting here quite happily. Again, no issues really. There's very minimal sagging on the printed part, printed in PLA again. I'll reprint it just for continuity of keeping things black. But yeah, that sits there fine. We've got a 3D printed cable tidy, which is literally just a fat plate with a couple of U-shapes cut into it. So the cables can come straight out of here and hide behind here. Next slot down, we are using a Zimmer board 832, which is hosting all of my Docker containers for a live production environment. So that's my media streaming, my NVR, and various other containers. I did have a 2.5-inch drive attached to this. So there's two little slots here, one for the SATA ports and one for the SSD to mount in and for the cables to go between the two. I'm moving away from that into my NAS systems, my Zimmer cubes, purely on the basis of the amount of storage I can have on those rather than through here. But this is held up pretty much from day one. Again, no real issues. My design, so no sagging, which is cool. And again, it's just neat, tidy, clean. I've put the shelf in here so I can hold my calipers and my iFixit toolkit. And like I say, I've just got a set of little calipers there that just sit on the shelf quite nice and neatly. We've got a 3D printed drawer here which will hold all of my components. I've got things like DDR5 RAM, DDR4 RAM, I've got my M.2 drives, they'll sit in there, plus a bunch of other screws, etc. And that just slots in there. And of course the obligatory Noctua sticker. I was toying with putting Noctua fan on the back of this. Actually, because of the way it's been designed, it's not needed. You know, none of this kit is actively cooled, it's all passively cooled. It sits in the corner of an office. I have got a little temperature gauge, which is just Velcroed on. Ambient temperature in the office varies anywhere between kind of 18 degrees C up to, I think it's been about 35 in here. And again, none of this kit is overheated. It's all been nice and cool. And I think some of that is due to the ventilation on the top and the fact it's an open back system. And there's still room in the bottom for more. I have previously had a motherboard, an ITX motherboard on a printed bracket that sits in the base of there. Again, passive cooling on that one. It just had a plain heatsink. It was an N100 processor with a passive heatsink, and that just kind of sat there idly. It was really just a file server, and it seemed to work fine with no real issues. Like I say, the small amount of sagging, which you won't probably be able to see too well. Let's pull some cables out slightly more, and we'll bring, I might just actually bring you guys in even closer here so you can see much better. There we go. I could do like B-roll and all that stuff, but let's face it, let's just keep it real. So switch in the top, Unify Express wireless access point in the top. There is that little bit of sag. Like I say, that's my own fault. That's my printing. Unify switch, Zimmer board, my shelf, which is actually just all the way through. There's no back to it. So you just got to make sure you don't push stuff too far through. You could print off a back plate to it, but is it needed? No, realistically. And then, like I say, my little drawer just sits in the bottom there. So how has it performed? How's it held up? All the plastics are still very much intact, very solid. Ventilation on the top to keep things nice and cooled. And yeah, this kit has just been running quite happily with all my home lab kit on pretty much since I originally got the kit in. Is there really much more that can be done with it? Of course, you know, the flexibility going forward, I still have room. I could replace some of these panels and optimize the space usage a little better perhaps. But yeah, it's a solid bit of kit. It sits there quite happily. Any concerns I've had have pretty much been wiped off the face of the earth. I can fit more in. I can tidy things. The flexibility going forward is still very much there. And obviously, DeskPi still run a load of other accessories that you can get that will mount into the rack mount. I've been looking at a couple of different options. We've got some plants in the house, and I believe there's a watering kit that's available based on Arduino, so that could be something cool to mount in there. And I've got a couple of pies as well that I'd like to just mount in, but obviously it's having time to actually get those in. So if you're kind of on the fence and you saw the first review video of, you know, the unboxing and checking out the hardware, and we're kind of wondering, okay, well, what's it done since? Like I say, it's used, it sits there quite happily, no real complaints. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, I'd say go for it. It's a neat, tidy little bit of kit that can quite happily sit in the corner of your office without being intrusive, and you can keep all your cables nicely out the back without any issues. So that's my little update on there, and if you've got any specific questions or you want me to try specific things, by all means drop a comment in below, and I can see if I can address those. And until next time, I hope you guys have an awesome time, and I'll catch you soon. Take care. Cheers, guys.